And welcome back, everyone. It's December, the last month of the year. Last month for all this. This will be the Q&A month, so keep your eyes out for those. And let's just get started. It's a normal week for the next, no joke, like 3 weeks. At least I think it's a normal week for the week of What If this month doesn't come until. Sorry, doing the quick stuff here. Yeah, so the month of December ends on Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. Uh, yes, it does. But that's halfway through the week, and I'd be continuing the week of who would win into that. So I just decided, screw it. The week of who would win is going to extend all the way into the first week of January. So that was just my executive thought. But yeah, so that means that the first 3 weeks of the year, or the month this year, are going to be the same. So for Marcus Kane, we start out the month with who wins in a fight? Gaara of the desert, the Kazekage, still current Kazekage of the leaf, or the leaf of the sand. It's the Kazekage of the leaf. Versus Luck Voltia, I believe that's his name, from Four Leaf Clover. He's part of the Black Bulls. He actually is among the characters in the Black Bulls. I do like most of the Black Bull characters anyway. I have fallen off of Black Clover recently because I'm reading One Piece at the moment. I should get back on that at some point because I do like the Black Bulls. Yami might be the best character in the Black Bulls, though. The only part of Asta I don't like is that whole obsession with marrying the nun. Like, you can't marry her. She's a nun. Like, you just... There's... that's a different thing entirely. One day I'll maybe do a video on, like, the shonen protagonists and who I like the most, who I don't like the most. But anyway, his magic is lightning-based. And so basically, if we break this down, Gaara, we know the desert, his backstory. He was born actually prematurely. His mother, though he was saved, they sealed the Shikaku inside him, as well as his mother's, well, they didn't seal it. His mother's spirit just lingered in his sand. He has a natural ability to control, he has a natural magnet release courtesy of his family. He doesn't use it very much until the 4th grade Shinobi War. But beyond that, he is able to manipulate the sand. Now, the sand automatically coming to his defense is an aspect of his mother. However, he can control the sand on his own. This, apparently, is given to him by the Shikaku. And Shikaku, basically just after he was released and just kind of doing his own thing, just said, yeah, no, I like Gaara enough to let him keep the ability. So that's apparently why Gaara's still able to manipulate sand the way he does. But the automatic defense of the sand comes from his mother. Now, with that being said, however, he's exceptionally powerful. Even back when we first met him, he was a clear high-tuning, low-joning level individual without including Shikaku. With Shikaku, he's a freaking village-level threat. He's a Kage-level threat. When you get to Shippuden, he is the Kazekage. He literally has a whole town-spanning ability with his sand. Let's backtrack here. He has a sand in his core. That sand is special. That's where the infused auto protection comes from. Any other sand he uses, he's got to actually use from the environment. Grind up dust, sand, whatever. If he's in the desert, he has the entire desert. But he is insanely strong in terms of his scaling. Even in Shippuden, as I said, he could scale to like a town or a city. If we go into Boruto, apparently his scaling has gotten even stronger. He has huge chakra reserves to back that up, even without Shikaku. His manipulation of sand is so precise that, and I mean, this might have been Shikaku, but I imagine Gaara can do this too. When they fought Madara after he resurrected, sand was literally shot into him at such velocity, it was inside his body, and he started manipulating Madara from that point. Like, it was insane how much they were manipulating him. That said, he was Madara, so he was able to figure a way around that. But still, he can literally engulf people, entomb them, and then crush them. He can seal them away. His sand moves at such blinding speeds. It's pretty much comparable to light speed level feats. We actually know that because in the 4th grade Shinobi War, his sand was able to keep up with the likes of Might Guy in the 8th Gate, who was definitely doing light speed level feats at that point. His sand has only gotten faster since then, so his sand certainly moves at light speed, definitely. Gaara himself, though, may have some light speed level reflexes. but he himself is not light speed. Not only there's more light speed level characters in Naruto than in um and especially in Boruto than there was in the early parts of Naruto. But they're still relatively far and few between compared to other verses. Like Bleach casually has light speed, like casually. I mean, we have one confirmed light speed user in Bleach because of the Pika Pika no Mi. But Naruto has like a good handful of them. We know Naruto is confirmed light speed. We assume that because Boruto by this point is more or less scaling above Naruto, he might move at light speed. But he also has a low grade version of the Flying Raijin, so he can just teleport. Gaara, though, just straight movement doesn't move at light speed. He is, though, capable of, again, crushing individuals with sand, binding them, shielding himself, shielding others, creating sand duplicates, creating an armor to wear. You name it, in theory, he can do it with sand. Luck is an interesting character, because Luck is kind of like a weird version of early version. I think this is why this was made, too. Early series Gaara, where he's definitely insane, also battle hungry. So he's like a weird mix of like Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter, Kenpachi a little bit, and Gaara mixed together with lightning aspects of Yoruichi. So he's a weird character to say the least, but he's a fun character. I do love his character. And he is battle hungry. His specialty relies in lightning magic, which allows him, again, do just about anything he can with lightning, including, wrapping, firing lightning bolts, but usually uses it for enhancing his speed, where he moves well beyond around the speed of lightning, making him insanely fast. He's also amped his speed up even further since then. Although most statements I find say he's not at light speed, though he is kind of relativistic to it. So he's not as fast, say, as Gaara's sand, which will come into play here in the fight. But he is still insanely fast. But he makes up for that with God knows how many different lightning techniques, including giant exploding balls of lightning, lightning arrows, lightning constructs, blinding flashes of lightning, actually using actual natural lightning, and not just magical lightning, amping himself physically to just be a physical monster. And he's someone who doesn't really display fear at all. Like, he just doesn't seem to have a concept of it in his head. So he is insanely dangerous in a fight. The question just comes down to who wins in a fight between these two. If it's coming down to sheer speed, well, Gaara's sand is faster, so it's going to be able to defend him for a while. But Gaara's not going to be able to beat him on just using his basic sand that he keeps in his gourd. He's going to need to flat out crush him to death. He's going to have to catch him and keep him there. And that's problematic because magnet release, along with sand, is, I believe, a combination of wind and earth. Still think it should be earth and lightning, but whatever. It's wind and earth. Now, the wind part does mean he has a elemental advantage against lightning, but the problem is the sand itself does not. And we actually see this a couple times with Gaara fighting lightning release users, particularly Sasuke in their first actual fight. The Chidori blasted straight through that sand dome. I can't remember the name of it, but it was like the protective dome he was using to transform into the Shikaku. That sand, when you actually see it, was like a foot thick, and he not only went through it, he was able to pierce Gaara. Wasn't lethal, but he still, it's my blood! That scene. And then later on, when he used the curse mark to squeeze out some more chakra for another Chidori, he was able to once again affect the sand. The sand does not do well in Naruto anyway against lightning, and that is I was about to say Hisoka. That's Luck's whole shtick is lightning. For example, Gaara versus the Raikage. Oh, I'm sorry, Gaara's straight out losing that fight. The Raikage, quite frankly, is it's a faster, more physically powerful version of Luck minus the versatility. Although, to be fair, we should assume he knows other lightning jutsu. We should assume. We just never see him use it, which, why? Like, I get your fighting style is physical, but if you got the chakra, which you clearly do, and you basically just, wrap yourself in an aura of chakra, why not actually throw long-range attacks too, and then, appear from behind someone, tactics. Again, there's nothing to say he doesn't know these moves, he just doesn't use them. But point being, we have a perfect analog to Luck, more or less, in terms of general fighting style. Yes, again, Luck has other moves added on there. We have the Raikage, who we know actually does just barely approach the speed of light as fastest state. Now I don't remember if that's with the Tsuchikage decreasing his weight, or if that's beforehand when like Naruto and him kind of tried to catch each other. Excuse me. All I know is we do know he just barely hits the light speed category. He's either slightly under or just at it. But yeah, so Luck is kind of a weaker version of the Raikage, but I say weaker in the sense of he's nowhere near physically powerful as the Raikage. And he doesn't have, he's not as fast. He might be relativistic, but I think he's not as fast as the Raikage. But regardless of that, he's way more versatile in what he can do. He can do ranged lightning attacks. He can do physical hand-to-hand, which is his primary weapon, primary form of attack. He can just call upon natural lightning. So versatility-wise, he's going to give Gaara a problem. And he might not be as fast as the Sand, at least Gaara's normal, like special Sand, but he's still insanely fast. So he's still going to be problematic with that elemental manipulation. The only way Gaara's going to put him down is if he's able to literally bury him, say, like a giant sand mausoleum or something like that, and then sand burial. That's the only way Gaara's going to actually effectively put him down. Because even if he catches him in a sand coffin, he could probably just burst out of that. He's still got insane mana reserves, which is their equivalent of chakra. So he can keep doing this for a while. But if there's one other thing that could ruin Luck here, is that Luck, despite actually being intelligent, is also reckless. He tends to use up a lot of his energy for a lot of stuff really quick. So he might just go down after that. So yeah. Gaara's also a lot more calm and calculating. But again, he has a serious elemental disadvantage, and he's got more versatility than someone like the Raikage, who I do still fully believe would be able to beat Gaara in a fight. And I am talking about A, by the way, not Darui. Though Darui does have an elemental advantage too. So, do I go with the guy who's more calm and collect, who probably has, more, frankly, just far more years of battlefield experience too, but who has a really bad elemental disadvantage here? Or do I go with a guy who might not be quite as fast as him, at least in terms of his base protection, but as the elemental advantage, is probably going to be going a bit more, wild in the fight, and is still insanely fast, and has a lot of versatility under his belt. I think both these guys could kill the other, but if I'm going to give my opinion, which is what you're here for, I think Luck might be a little bit more, and we know that lightning can defuse like elemental earth attacks too, as we saw with Sasuke and Deidara. So I'm gonna lean towards Luck. Well, Gaara certainly would have a better head on his shoulders in this fight. He's got the faster like auto attack and auto defense. His elemental disadvantage against Luck, who has frankly just more versatility than the Raikage does, is going to really, I think, and the fact that he can channel natural lightning, which is stronger than just general lightning release, means that I think he's going to have an advantage over Gaara that Gaara's not really prepared to handle. If we actually break down the Kages, the true, like in the fourth Great Shinobi War, the strongest Kage arguably was the Tsuchikage, just because of the dust release. His dust release really just put him on a level above all the other Kages, really. But I would put the Raikage at fourth. I would, which is ironic because he was the fourth Raikage. After that, though, it gets a little tricky because Tsunade is probably the weakest Kage of the group. That or it's Mei. Like in a straight fisticuffs, Tsunade wins that fight, but in straight versatility, Mei could just literally boil her. Even with her Mitonic regeneration, she just keep dissolving continuously with boil release or magma release. And yeah, Gaara's probably in the third range category there. And then if you go into Boruto, which I don't know a huge amount about, admittedly, Naruto was still the strongest Kage of the group. Gaara, though, at that point was probably the strongest, is the second strongest Kage. Darui may have had an elemental advantage, but he did not have the straight stats that either Luck or the Raikage had, or have. like physical stats, and I don't believe he uses the same like fighting style as the Raikage either. Yeah, he's got an elemental releasing advantage against Gaara, but he doesn't display the type of versatility Luck does, nor does he display the same type of fighting style as the Raikage does. This is like saying that, oh yeah, Sasuke can use Chidori, so he should be able to outright beat Gaara. Well, at that point in time, no. And I'm talking about the Chunin exams. He technically had Gaara on the ropes, but Gaara at that point had the Shikaku. And yeah, once Shikaku was getting involved, there was no contest. Gaara no longer has the Shikaku, so that's why we don't bring it up in the equation. I would give Luck the edge in this fight, but yeah, I'd say Gaara could certainly, if he could outlast Luck, he'd get the win. If he could tire Luck out, because Luck is, even though the series has been going on for a while, is definitely a little on the reckless side with his spell casting and fighting. So, and there's also the problem I didn't bring up with the Grimoire. I did not bring up the Grimoire. If his Grimoire is caught and arguably destroyed, then he completely runs out of power. Like he's screwed. The question is, would Gaara be able to grab the Grimoire? Assuming Luck is keeping it protected with lightning, probably not. He's not going to be able to get past that. If it's not protected by lightning and he's able to figure out the Grimoire, that would actually be a very clear avenue for winning for Gaara. But that's all comes down to the idea that he's going to be able to grab the Grimoire. Because Luck is still moving at such speed that it's going to be difficult even with Gaara's special sand. So I'd still lean towards Luck, but I think Gaara's odds go much higher if you add the snatching the Grimoire into the equation. But it's just my opinion. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.